Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Pilot of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop us a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys and it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue number 7 of good old Stormbringer magazine, and it is our second paint issue. Now, our first paint issue was pretty decent value for money with having 4 pots of paint, which were very handy. However, every other paint issue from now on should only contain 2 pots of paint. And our 2 pots of paint this week is Corax White and Catachan Flesh. Now, Corax White, a very handy paint colour to have. It is a slightly off-white, so it's not super bright. Works very nicely on a lot of things though, so does really do well. I use a lot of this. Any white that I do, I generally use Corax White and maybe a little bit of White Scar at certain points. But this is a very handy colour. Now, the problem with white paint is it separates very easily. So, you will need to shake this up every time you use it. Do not forget to shake your paints, especially whites. Now, shake it up. It will occasionally separate. If it separates, it will look a bit kind of lumpy and claggy at the bottom, and it will be very kind of darker, weird liquidy stuff on top. That means that you have to shake it very well, so you're going to be shaking it for quite a long time. The other thing that you can do, if you don't want to be shaking them all super heavily and kind of, you know, getting yourself wrist ache or elbow ache or anything like that, you can get vortex shakers, which you can get from places like Amazon, and you can get them online in other places, or you can buy proper paint shakers from places like good old Green Stuff World or anyone like that, or you buy them from Element Games. Yeah, either way, you know, definitely shake them up. And white is an absolute pain in the backside for needing to be shaken. The other colour we get is Catachan Flesh. Now, I will openly admit I have never used this paint before. I do not own a single pot of it. Now, if I remember rightly, this was designed to be a kind of a base layer for using darker skin tones, and it can still be used for that. However, I can guarantee some people, because it is essentially a brown colour, have used it for a lot of other colours. Now, you can do that, entirely up to you, but we'll go through more stuff later on with that colour. Anyway, we also get a range guide for gaming. This can be used for movement and for your shooting phases, so you can measure out the distance on a proper game. So, in a proper game, you don't use that circular that map that we have before, where you have them circles. You don't use that. You use all these range guides. You move as much as you need to, or you complete the moves, you fire, and if you were in range, you use this to kind of make sure. You can use tape measures if you want, entirely up to you. Other game systems don't always use them, so if you pick up games like Star Wars Legion or Marvel Crisis Protocol, you don't use measuring tools like that. They have their own designed ones that are made out of plastic, normally with a pattern on there, so you can differentiate for different units how far they can move and stuff like that as well, which can be quite handy, and they do look quite nice. The other thing we get is our first little kind of cutout thing. This is for wound markers. Now, the way I would do it is, because this is a very thin, flimsy paper, is get yourself a thin piece of card, not cardboard, but card, and put it on there, glue it down, and then cut out your wound markers from there. Or, if you want to, and you have the ability to, print directly onto the card for your wound markers, and you know, you can have a bit of fun with them. But they'll come in very good handy when you have plenty of units on your battlefield and you need to keep track of who's been hurt and who hasn't. So, not too bad. Into the issue we go though. Finally, we're greeted by the Realm Sphere, so finding out more of the lore and history of the mortal realms. So each of the mortal realms is contained within a Realm Sphere, which is an orb of elemental magic. At their edge, the magic of these realm spheres is wild and unstable, while in the centre, the magic has stabilised to form landscapes where mortals may dwell. Each realm sphere is dominated by a different kind of magic, which shapes the nature of the realm within and its inhabitants. All of the realms are incredibly varied and are home to countless landscapes, climates, and empires that would take lifetimes to fully explore. So, if you're unaware, there are 8 different realms of the mortal realms, each following a different kind of magic, essentially. So first off, there is Orgu, the realm of shadows. There is Heish, the realm of light. Azir, the realm of heavens. Gairan, the realm of life. Gur, the realm of beasts. Shamon, the realm of metal. Akshi, the realm of fire. And Shaiish, the realm of death. Each of these different realms has different kind of factions within them, whether it's the Dwarden, whether it's Stormcast Eternals, who appear in pretty much all of these realms, whether it's the good old Fire Slayers, whether it's the Dark Elves I'm going to call them, whether it's your Lumineth Realm Lords, Ideneth Deepkin, even your Orcs, Aurochs, your Warclans, your Goblins, your Gargants, the Nighthorns, Soulblight Gravelords, the entire lot. There's loads of them to go through, but really, really good stuff, and it's nice to find out more about these kind of bits and pieces, especially if you're new to the game. The other thing with it as well, obviously, is an arcane frontier. Every realm is truly vast. In actually the realm of fire, Sigmar's warriors have conquered much of the region known as the Great Parch, a region that contains icy peaks, boiling oceans, and the remains of ancient mage empires. Vast as the Great Parch is, it represents only a fraction of the realm of fire. And of course there are chaos-tainted wastes as well in a lot of these realms, so certain realms have kind of crept in with corruption, where the Chaos Gods have found a foothold. Only Azir actually is obviously no exception with this. So obviously we're going to go through a lot of Akshi with all of this magazine to begin with. I reckon we will eventually go to Gur and the Realm of Beasts, because that is generally a bit of a swampy area and stuff like that, and it works very, very nicely with your new Aurochs. Moving on, we have our how to paint guide for this week, which is obviously bringing in Corax White, your Catachan Flesh, and it also wants you to use some Lead Belcher. Now, if you've already painted up your Aurochs so far with your good old Auroch Flesh and Lead Belcher, you can ignore some little bits and pieces. Now, obviously, the magazine is telling you to use Catachan Flesh for the kind of the scraps and rags that are attached to your Aurochs. Yes and no. I kind of agree with it, but kind of disagree with it at exactly the same time. You can do a better variation. If you only want particular colours and you want to go with your most basic look, go with this. If you want them to look a little bit different and stand out differently, by all means change it up a little bit. Now, for me, I have painted some of my Aurochs, so if it ever focuses on it, there we go. I have used things like Fondia Brown, I have used Mournfang Brown, I have used Rakkar Flesh on there, I've used my Auroch Flesh and my Biltan Green on there, and some Skarsnik Green to kind of layer up, and more. So, and that gives it a bit of variation, because you can make all your Aurochs look like they are dressed from different scraps from whatever they've been able to find and whatever leathery scraps we've been able to get. But entirely up to you how you want to go about painting it. Both are completely viable, when I'm not knocking the camera, to do. So, entirely up to you. But otherwise, yeah, it doesn't turn out too badly. When you're done, if you're following the painting guide, it will look something similar to that, which isn't terrible. I just think it can be better, in my personal opinion. Also, I still don't agree with Auroch Flesh being used for Hobgrots. It just looks weird. when you can use Hobgrot Hide or Xandri Dust instead. Anyway, you've got more information for your Stormcast Eternals and how to paint them. So the inside of the shields, obviously it wants you to paint them slightly different. So using a little bit of lead belcher on the kind of a strap on the buckles for the straps of the shields that they're holding and such like. Your choice. Using your Catachan flesh, you can use it for kind of the leather on the belts and the kind of little pockets and stuff like that that the Stormcast have. Your choice, really, with that one. It does work, however, I still don't agree with it, in all honesty. It is what it is, though. And you can, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. If you're using your Corax White, though, using it on the inside of cloaks is very, very nice. It works very, very well and can look pretty damn good. Now, obviously they're using Catachan flesh as a standard brown colour. Yeah, I still don't agree with it. You can get a lot of variation if you're doing the other browns and you use washes over the top of them. It makes them look very, very different. Makes them look pretty cool and stops everything from being a bit uniform as well. So yeah, it is what it is though. But otherwise, you know, it's not a bad paint guide. It does work very, very well, especially if you're new to it. When you're done though, it'll look something similar to that. Now, that's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. However, I personally think that you can do slightly better. But, you know, that's just me. Anyway, moving on, we get more information for your rules. So this is basics to movement. So whether you can move 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch and such like. That's obviously how you utilise your ruler. You know, sounds simple, really, doesn't it? So obviously you have to be within certain ranges for melee combat and such like. You can move forwards, you can move away, entirely up to you. Going through all these basics is how it teaches you how to play the game, and so you can get on with big battles at the end and have a bit of fun with it, and it works very, very nicely at the same time. So, moving along, all your charge phases as well mentioned in here, and it's just going through all them basics. So as we go through, we'll go through all the basics, all the way up to Battle Shock, and then we'll start going into advanced rules, so certain things that can obviously only do certain other things, and so on and so on and so on, and it kind of spirals out of control from there. But it works very, very nicely, so not too bad at all, really. And then we have our playthrough, so we're still using them circles side from the looks of it. I don't agree with it, but oh well. But yeah, otherwise you can make it look, you can have a pretty decent little battle here with your Knight Arcanum and your Vindictors going up against the Gut Rippers and the Killer Boss with the Stab Grot, and it works very, very nicely. It works very, very well. Now you can have a bit of fun with this. Obviously we've still not got everything here, so we do have the move rules, but all of them can only move 5 inches as a maximum, and go from there. So not too bad, pretty decent, and obviously spreading out the rules means we're going to get more and more information as we go on and such like. So not bad. Moving on though, next week we have our Lord Imperatant and his Gryph-hound. We also get another brush, which is, you know, fairly handy to have. You know, although it is a synthetic brush, and I don't mind them, they're alright, but I don't feel you get as good as control on them as you do with the sable brushes, or even the kind of normal brushes that you can get from GW. Yeah, it's not too bad, but yeah, it just doesn't. I'm not a big fan. Anyway, moving on. Issue number 9 is a really cool one. It is our Swampcaller Shaman. I really like the Swampcaller Shaman. I have already done mine from the Dominion box, and I think it looks badass, and I'm looking forward to doing it again because it's fun. It's a nice mini. He has his little pot grot with him as well, storing his cauldron for whatever kind of potion and brew he's making. Yeah, they're fun. I like them. They're really good fun. I genuinely like that mini. Anyway, enough about that mini. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.